Ooh, snap. Things are looking funky in California.
That's racist!
Times, my God. Well, you know, people are bitching and moaning about what's happening over in California, but you know, this is a long time coming, and inevitably that we were going to reach this point. This was bound to happen at some point, that you were going to end up having protests and riots. A lot of these people that are here illegally have no allegiance to the U.S. They have not assimilated to this society. But yeah, so protests been on and off, and the Trump administration is telling California to buckle the hell up because there's going to be 30 days of ice in California, which, by the way, is a good thing.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
There are somewhere between 20 and 30 million illegal aliens in the country right now. And if you're going to deport them, there are a few central hubs. There's California, New York, and Texas. Those are going to be the three biggies. Now, there, again, other places that they are at, but California is one of the big hotspots. And the thing is, you have decades of people coming in. California has millions and millions of illegal aliens in the state. Trump is clearly taking this seriously. People, I don't think, really understood how dead set the Trump administration was on making this happen. And if you look at it from the Republican point of view, we're gonna put the Democrats aside for a minute, and even just people that just look at this logically. But just from a political point of view, what makes it so important is we've had amnesty once before in the U.S. Back in 1986, we had 3 million illegal aliens. And they were given amnesty. Half of them resided in California. California used to be a purple-red state, meaning sometimes you get Democrats in, but they primarily voted Republican. In fact, for 30 years prior to the 1986 amnesty, California had voted Republican in every national election, presidential election. And so that changed. 1988 was the last time California went red in a presidential election, and it changed like that. And what happened is you had 1.6, 1.5 million illegals that became citizens. And people that are here illegally tend to do so because they are economically disadvantaged, right? And so people that are from a lower to, a lower income class typically need government assistance. People that need government assistance tend to vote for the party that gives them the most stuff, and that happens to be the Democrat Party. That's just the way it is, okay? And it's understandable, right? If you're talking about a survival frame of reference, then yeah, you're going to vote for the party that gives you the best benefits that you can get. So California would go deep blue. It's now over 60% Democrat. And so this is then translated into, from a political standpoint, the Republicans know that now you've got 20 to 30 million people in the country. If they're given amnesty now, you're talking about generational change in power, where the Democrat Party will then basically own the country for at least a generation. And if they get amnesty again, and there's been 9 attempts since 2000 to do this, every decade, they'll just simply add more citizens. It's a way to permanently gain power. And that's not even talking about like I said, the non-political view, which is where there are so many people that are non-citizens here that it would change the very foundation of this country, because you have people that don't have any allegiance to this country. They're not assimilating. They're balkanized. And you could see this with the protests and the riots. You had people flying Mexican flags. There's a disloyalty to the U.S., and these are people that are here illegally, many of them. Obviously, some of the protesters are citizens, of course, but how many of them participating were not? So Donald Trump today with this in mind, has announced that he is intending to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion, which that is a big, bold plan because New York has roughly about 700,000 illegal aliens that they admit live in New York City. That not New York State, New York City. Okay. And that's just the ones they admit. So it's probably well over 1 million. So Los Angeles likely is similar and probably more because, you've got Mexico right there. People cross over all the time. Let's just say there's about 1 million, right? Maybe more, maybe less, give or take. There's no way, because Trump is planning a 30-day stint here. There's no way they're going to get 800,000, 900,000, 1 million people out. However, if you go after them where they live, where they work, if you make it super uncomfortable, the plan is to get a lot of them to self-deport so they don't get a lifetime ban where they can never come back to the United States. And the threat of arrest and then deportation is scary. So let's go ahead and go through this article here. Let's see if they got a video here. Los Angeles is under siege by rioters. Seizing control of the 101. Yep, a bunch of a-holes. Which, by the way, I say that if you block a freeway, you can go f*** yourself. You deserve 10 years in jail. That would make me happy.
Get back! Get back! Get back!
Protesting is fine. Taking over freeways, not a chance. Not a chance. Move back over to the left.
Spit, that's their new thing. They spit and worse. You know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit.
All right. So this was published earlier today from the UK Daily Mail. President Donald Trump has vowed to restore order and liberate Los Angeles from illegal aliens which have invaded and occupied a once great American city. Trump issued an extraordinary directive on Sunday after the National Guard was forced to step in amid mounting civil unrest and pro-migrant riots throughout California. Rioters have been engaged in violent clashes with immigration officials, the National Guard, and LAPD following the detainment of dozens of immigrants on Friday as part of Trump's ambitious plan to embark on the largest mass deportation scheme in U.S. history. And keep in mind, Operation Back, as it was called back in the 1950s, is the last time we did something like this. It was under Dwight D. Eisenhower. He deported 3 million illegal aliens in roughly about 6 months. So it is doable. It has been done before in the U.S., but since then, we have simply allowed the problem to fester. Anyway, he has directed his key personnel to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to those migrant riots. Order will be restored, the illegals will be expelled, and Los Angeles will be set free. The Los Angeles Police Department began issuing rolling dispersal orders and declaring some of the protest acts of unlawful assembly, which about time, by the way, these idiots constantly in California take over freeways, take over streets, block people in their cars, effectively doing a false imprisonment, which is a crime, by the way, but nobody prosecutes them, keeping them locked inside their cars, unable to leave. And Los Angeles has simply allowed it. Essentially, after the Rodney King riots, the LAPD has just stepped back and said, okay, we don't care. Riot away. Burn down the city as you see fit. I bet you they're really happy that they get to issue these unlawful assembly orders now that they have the backing of troops. Now, the LAPD issued a separate warning that the city has been placed on tactical alert, meaning all of the department's officers are now on notice that they could be called up for service at any given moment, although right now it seems that all is calm in Los Angeles. Let's see. Officers who are already on duty are not allowed to end their shift until they have been relieved by the commanders, and residents of Los Angeles are warned that low priority calls will likely go unanswered while the alert is ongoing, obviously. These officers will now join the 2,000 California National Guard troops under Trump earlier deployed to Los Angeles. And by the way, Gavin Newsom is pissed about this. He is formally trying to get the federal government to give them back to the state because that a-hole was keeping them otherwise occupied. He does not want them used to stop these protests and riots. Now, Trump lamented the current state of the city, expressing concern that a once great American city had been invaded and occupied by illegal aliens and criminals, saying, now violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations. And keep in mind, these deportation operations are only going to intensify the longer that Trump's administration goes on. They're hiring 20,000 new ICE agents. Check this out. This was literally a month ago. They're in the middle of hiring 20,000 new ICE agents. I would have to go look at the numbers, but if memory serves, it's going to be about a 50% increase in how many national ICE agents are available. This is big. And Tom Homan has already said that right now they're arresting about 1,000 people per day. They want to up that. We're talking nationally across the board. They want to up that to 3,000. And then my guess is from there, once they've done this, you can expect that will increase and keep on increasing probably until we get to somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 per day, and maybe more. We will see. Now, Trump vowed that the lawless riots will only strengthen our resolve, which it will, because it's pissing off people who want these illegal aliens. I mean, what are we even talking about here? These are illegal aliens who broke into the country. They have no rights. They shouldn't be here. It doesn't matter how long you were here illegally. You're still an a-hole who was in the country illegally. I get that, there are people out there who feel bad for them. And I could see that for the children of people who broke into the country. They're innocent, but they got to go because there's just too many of them. This is too big of a problem. And so, you have an overwhelming majority of the country wants deportation of all illegal aliens, all of them. 87% of the U.S. population wants people deported if they have criminal records, and 63% want all of them. So you have an overwhelming majority of Americans that want these people gone. And so to see these idiots out there protesting, rioting, trying to stop them violently, when this is what the American people said they want, all they are doing is playing into Trump's hands. Trump is playing the California crazies like a Stradivarius. Now, the president congratulated the National Guard on doing a great job in the city in the early hours of Sunday morning, blah, 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 blah. Protesters gathered outside the Metropolitan Detention Center and were warned that the LAPD incident commander had approved the use of less lethal munitions, meaning they won't shoot to kill to break up the crowd. This came as authorities declared the area an unlawful assembly and warned any protester who chose to stay that they would be subject to arrest. Southbound and northbound traffic was driven to a standstill on the 101 freeway, which, that pissing off a lot of people there after protesters commandeered both sides of the road, because this is what they do.
That's racist!
These douche nozzles in California keep taking over the 101 freeway because they know it with everybody. Hundreds of thousands of people trying to get to and from work over their day because there are a bunch of a-hole protesters who are mad about whatever shit reason they've got going on. This happens over and over and over again. And those people need to face massive, serious jail sentences. I'm all for protesting. Just stay the off the roads. Stop breaking the goddamn law. Stop interfering with everyone else. Make your voices heard, but do not break the law to do it. They can go themselves. That's just my opinion here. Now, the arrival of the National Guard and federal reinforcements follows days of protests that began Friday in downtown Los Angeles before spreading on Saturday to Paramount and neighboring Compton, and it is only going to increase further. On Sunday, Kristi Noem said the National Guard would keep peace and allow people to be able to protest, but also to keep law and order. Damn right. The troops included members of the 79th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, according to a social media post from the Department of Defense that showed dozens of National Guard members with long guns and an armored vehicle. Governor Gavin Newsom, of course, is pissed off about this and called Trump on Friday night, and they spoke for about 40 minutes, according to the governor's office. It was not clear if they spoke Saturday or Sunday. Let's see. Newsom described Trump's decision to call in the National Guard as a provocative show of force that would only escalate tensions. Well, then maybe you shouldn't have allowed the protesters and the rioters to interfere with ICE, because that is exactly what that douchebag was doing, was allowing the protesters to threaten 1,000 people surrounding a federal building where they had illegal aliens housed. Yeah, Newsom is pissed. He is not happy. He posted this on X a couple hours ago, saying, I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command, the man who doesn't do anything to stop the protests. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. What a man. These people love to lie. Your lying eyes. You didn't see any violence. You didn't see, 1,000 people threatening, burning, throwing rocks. It was no big deal. Newsom said this is a serious breach of state sovereignty, inflaming tensions while pulling resources from where they're actually needed. Rescind the order, return control to California. I don't think Trump will, and I hope they don't. Because Newsom was doing everything he could not to help the Trump administration, because he is a political hack. At present, law enforcement, authorities from the city and county of Los Angeles are safeguarding public safety, and as demonstrated by the robust law enforcement response yesterday evening to protect federal facilities, local law enforcement and resources are insufficient to maintain order. Oh, so sad. Well, then maybe you should have helped the Trump administration if you didn't want to lose your National Guard. I just have no sympathy for this guy. You allowed the usual chaos in your state to take place, and guess what? The rest of the country doesn't like California's bull chaos, where there's always a goddamn protest, there's always violence, and you stand by and do nothing about it. And he's never dealt with this stuff. You could go on X, you could look on Google, you could find countless examples of violence in California, protests, whatever issue of the day, be it, free Palestine or whatever, constantly, and they always allow the protesters to take over streets, to threaten people. And guess what? Donald Trump is saying, "F you," to Governor Newsom. This is not how we do things in America. We do not tolerate violence like some third world whole country.
That's racist!
We don't allow that anymore. We are the party of law and order. That is what Donald Trump is saying here by taking this away from Governor Newsom. Because Governor Newsom is a piece of political hack. He is allowing this violence, and he has his entire reign as governor in California. That's why the locals call him Gruesome Newsom. People don't like Governor Newsom because he's a piece of lying a-hole who allows violence around every corner. He has the state in ways you can't even imagine. So I have no sympathy for him. But that is what the Trump administration is basically doing by taking away his National Guard, saying, "Fuck you. You knew we were coming in here. You allowed the violence. You allowed things to get out of hand. We are not tolerating this." And just because Newsom doesn't see a reason for it doesn't mean that we're going to allow it. This is delicious. It is wonderful to watch.